Now, as you can see from this setup, we have the tarp done like a tent with both ends open. And by the way, this is Striper. This is the king of the cats, aren't you? Nobody messes with him. I have to be extremely careful when I pet him. He'll haul off and nail me. I try to stay around his head because he seems to like that. But if I go too far down his back, he'll turn around and nail me. And his nails don't feel good at all, do they, Striper? I am the only one that can pet him. He won't even let my wife go near him. When he and White Leg jump up on my lap, and they have done that, I get very nervous because these two will fight. And for some reason, when they jump up on my lap, the two of them together, one on each side, they don't fight each other. I don't understand it. I don't understand cats at all. I don't even understand why this guy likes me. So, but this tarp is set up like a tent. Both ends are open. And the tie backs you see underneath the pad, that is the pad you put your mat on to keep it from getting all muddy. The tarp is what keeps the rain off, and the would-be blanket or your sleeping bag or whatever you choose to use is what's going to keep you warm. It's a pretty simple setup. Now this is a 2.5 pound tarp, but you can get one made out of Dyneema or Cuban fiber, was what they called it in the old days. And that weighs less than 9-10 ounces, same size. So you could literally take 1.5 pounds off, but the problem is they cost like $600 is what they do. Now the nice thing about Dyneema is it doesn't retain any water whatsoever, to where a sil nylon tarp like this will retain some water weight, and until it dries, it's going to be a little heavier than that 2.5 pounds, where Dyneema doesn't. The other problem with Dyneema is it doesn't really come in camouflage. It kind of has, it's really noisy when you set it up compared to this. So there are pros and cons depending on the type or what type of tarp you want to go with. Now they have poly tarps made out of polyester. They are heavier than sil nylon, but they're cheaper. So compared to spending, say, $150 to $200 for a tarp like this, compared to those which are $100, I mean, it goes from one end to the other end of the spectrum, from picking yourself up a tarp and deciding what you want to spend on. You know, the more money you go, the lighter it is. When you start getting into camouflage, like woodland camo like this, it is a bit heavier compared to a solid color like a brown or a green or that type of thing. And when you do that, then it gets a little lighter. But I like to have the camo. Now, this is set up in storm mode, which means the sides are all the way down to the ground. Okay? So if it wasn't, just sprinkling, just raining like it was in my other video, then I would just go higher, maybe another 4 feet off the ground, and you're not really concerned. When you go down in the storm mode like I am right now, you're more concerned about the wind and the rain, because the wind's whipping around in circles. You don't know what direction it's going. So you go right down to the ground to keep everything inside, as dry as possible is what you do. Oh, you're loving this. Yes, you are. You're loving this. Yes. This is better than the chair, huh? Isn't it? Yes, better than the chair. I get so nervous when I pet him. He don't take no shit. Yes. You see, Striper and White Leg, they were, I don't know, they ended up at my house. Probably somebody dropped them off. And I think it was 4 years by the time this cat would come to me, or even let me pet it. They were wild cats, is what they were. And then one day he got jealous of White Leg for jumping on my lap, and then he jumped on my lap. I was like, oh Lord, I'm in trouble. I thought they were going to fight right on my lap. Yes. Yes, I did. Are you going to come up here? You going to come up here? Come on. Come on. You want something? I'm going to tease you. Come on. Striper. Striper. It's over here. Come on. See, most cats would just run to the hand, right? Oh, he moved. Oh, he came a little closer. Yes, he did. Look at that. Aren't you the proud kitty? You got a light purr, not very strong. Yeah, very light purr. Even being this close to my face makes me a bit nervous with him. I'm not going to go down his body. He'll probably nail me. But as you can see from this series I made on the tarp, it's almost like you've got multiple tents at your disposal. Now, I could take this higher up and have more room inside if it wasn't windy. I could put it in porch mode, which means now run the ridgeline between two trees, and the middle would not sag as much, okay, because I have the ridgeline on. By having a pole at each end, it allows the middle to hang because of how long this tarp is. So I would really suggest you put a ridgeline and put it between two trees because it will help keep it higher off the ground than running the two poles. Now, the two poles, you could run them as like a porch mode. You run a porch out at night, you could have a lot more comfortable type of setup. But depending on the weather and depending on what you're in the mood for, you determine what type of setup you want. Like, you figure a tent, your setup is as high as you can, whatever the tent is. If you're stuck sitting on your butt and that's as high as you can get, then it's not like you're going to put a chair inside a tent. Where when you run a tarp, you can run it up higher and you could have a chair under the tarp, right? And now you got a little bit more room, is what you have. So, what are some of the differences with a tarp and a tent? Well, a tent, you are a little bit more protected from the spiders, the ticks. I mean, you are concealed, right? But a tarp allows for a more open feeling when you're camping. And the other nice thing about a tarp is you're not really dealing with condensation. Where in a tent, you very well could be dealing with condensation. Being the air temperature is the same in here as it is outside, I mean, it's really pretty much the same everywhere. Where when you get a tent and you're sealed in it, because you're breathing, because you're generating heat, and it's hot inside the tent and colder outside the tent, you're generating condensation. You know, some people have even had it snow inside a tent because of condensation. So that's kind of crazy. But between hammock camping, tent camping, or tarp camping, um, I'm beginning to like tarp camping more because it's more room. I like room. God, I love room. I love the idea of having multiple setups where I can go porch mode, plow mode, tent mode. I can go all these different modes is what I can do. And that's what I love to do more than anything else. So normally, you know, if I'm coming in at night and I only got a half an hour of daylight, I would go plow mode. I would just set up the tent very quickly. You know, 4 stakes and a pole boom. I'm inside and I'm done. And I'm crashing. I mean, I probably walked 6, 8 miles. I'm tired. That's it. I'm done. Now, the next day, I'd probably take it out of plow mode and put it in this mode until I know what's going on. Yeah. What? He turned around and yelled at me. I don't know what that was about. You gotta come here. You're making me nervous. Okay. Okay. Now, when I used to hammock camp, and I don't like hammock camping because my dog has nowhere to lay down, I used to run my tarp in porch mode, where it would be above me so I could see out in front of me. And then I'd sit on my hammock and I could see out in front of me. So I kind of like hammock. I like the porch mode too. But this will give you some ideas, if you want, on different ways to run tarps. But they're really easy. They're not hard at all. Now I'm using Tyvek underneath my pad. Some people use a polyfilm, and to understand what that is, you ever seen that stuff that you put on windows and you hit it with the hair dryer and then it shrinks up to help keep you heat in the house? They buy the patio one, people are taking that apart and they're using that underneath their pad because that's even lighter. It's super cheap to replace, so it's not a big deal. But you have a lot of choices. Now, if you were making a get home bag and you wanted something light and something affordable in case you had to spend one night out there, maybe two, I would look at Amazon for the cheapest tarp you can get at 10 by 10. You're less than a pound and you got something to get away from the rain. So that would come in handy. This type of tarp is more luxury, is what it is. When you get into camel tarps, they get a bit more heavier too. So it all depends what you like. I don't see a lot of difference between a tarp and a tent other than a tarp seems to give me more room, where a tent, I guess I'm a little bit more protected from ticks, spiders, and stuff like that. So, at any rate, hope you enjoyed this little series on the tarp setups, and hope you enjoyed Striper, the meanest, baddest cat in the land. Yes, you are. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.